They made broke veteran sweep hangar floor until Apache wouldn't start and Colonel called his name. The wind whipped across Fort Arrow Field that morning, carrying the sting of winter and the scent of jet fuel. Inside Hangar 6, a man in faded overalls pushed a broom across the cold concrete floor. His name tag read simply, Jack. No one cared for his last name anymore. Once, they called him Captain Jack Reynolds, Apache pilot, 101st Airborne. A man who had led men into the desert skies and brought most of them home. But that was years ago. Now, the only thing Jack led was a broom across oil-stained floors. He swept quietly, listening to the clatter of mechanics' tools and the laughter of young pilots' boys who weren't even born when he first flew. "Hey, old man," one of them called out, a smirk in his voice. "Don't miss a spot, Colonel S. got a thing about dust." Jack nodded, expression calm. He'd heard worse. He'd once stared down enemy fire, felt the sky burn red around him. Mockery didn't hurt the same way anymore. What hurt was being forgotten. Chapter 1: The Broom and the Battlefield. Every morning, Jack showed up before dawn. No one asked him to. Habit. He'd been trained to be early in the air, on the field, in life. After losing his house, his savings, and his wife, all victims of a system that thanked him with paperwork instead of purpose, he took the only job the base offered, janitorial contractor. A cruel irony, sweeping the same hangar that once housed his Apache. Still, he found peace in the rhythm. Sweep. Push. Step. Breathe. Sometimes, when the hangar was empty, he'd glance at the massive helicopter sitting idle, an A-64 Apache, sleek and menacing even in sleep. He'd whisper under his breath, "Still got your wings, girl." Chapter 2: The Young Pilot. That winter, Fort Arrow Field buzzed with activity. A new squadron had arrived. Lieutenant Kyle Bennett, a hotshot pilot with a swagger that filled any room he entered. Kyle was everything Jack used to be: bold, confident, untouchable. But beneath the bravado, Jack saw the cracks. He saw the nerves in Kyle's hand when he prepped for night flight, the overcompensation in his jokes. Jack didn't say much, but one morning, as Kyle walked by, he murmured, "Check your cyclic pressure next time you take off in low temps. Hydraulics get sluggish at dawn." Kyle paused, eyebrow raised. "Thanks, Grandpa, but I think I got it." Jack smiled faintly. "Yeah, you probably do." By noon, Kyle's Apache was grounded with hydraulic failure before it even left the tarmac. He didn't thank Jack. But he looked at him differently after that. Chapter 3: The Storm. 2 weeks later, a storm rolled in from the north, the kind that made even hangar walls tremble. The airfield was locked down. Still, the base commander, Colonel Marks, had orders from above. One Apache had to be ready for a live demo the next morning. "Bennett," the colonel barked, "you're flying. Make it work." Kyle and his team worked late into the night. Jack stayed too, mopping near the corner, silent as always. At 2,300 hours, the storm hit full force. Rain pounded the hangar roof like drum fire. The techs called it a night, leaving the aircraft prepped and ready. Kyle lingered, staring at the bird. Jack watched him. Something in the engine's hum didn't sound right. He knew that tone like a heartbeat skipping a beat. He hesitated. He was just the janitor now. No one wanted advice from a man who'd been forgotten by his own army. Still, his gut twisted. "Lieutenant," he said quietly. "Don't run her cold in this weather. Let the APU cycle twice before ignition, or you'll. Kyle cut him off. You think I don't know how to start my own bird? Jack just sighed. Suit yourself. Chapter 4 The Silence of Metal. Morning came gray and heavy. The storm had passed, leaving the tarmac slick and shining. Command gathered outside Hangar 6, press, officers, and even a visiting senator. The Apache was rolled out. The pride of the base. Kyle climbed in, gave a thumbs up, and started the sequence. But the moment the engine spun, a sharp whine cut through the air and then, silence. The bird coughed, sputtered, and died. Mechanics scrambled. Alarms buzzed. The colonel's face hardened. What the hell is going on? No one had an answer. The APU wouldn't power, hydraulics were frozen, and the backup system wouldn't engage. The entire hangar went tense, years of reputation about to crumble in front of the media. Then, from the corner, a low voice said, "Sir, I can fix it." Heads turned. It was the janitor, broom still in hand, coveralls smudged with grease and dust. Colonel Marks blinked. "And who the hell are you supposed to be?" Jack met his eyes evenly. "Reynolds, sir. Captain Jack Reynolds. 101st Airborne. Retired. That's my old bird." Chapter 5 The Call Sign Returns. For a moment, silence filled the hangar. Then the colonel's face shifted from disbelief to recognition. "Reynolds. Ghost Hawk." Jack nodded once. The name that had been buried in reports and memories, Ghost Hawk, echoed through the hangar. Even the young pilots froze. They heard the stories. The man who once flew into enemy lines to pull out a downed Black Hawk crew. The pilot who refused to eject when his co-pilot was pinned. Colonel Marks stepped forward. "Get him tools." Jack moved like instinct, sliding beneath the Apache. His hands, though aged, were sure. Within minutes, he pinpointed the fault, a misaligned pressure valve and cold lock in the APU lines. "Someone skipped the heat cycle," he muttered. "Rookie mistake." He looked up at Kyle, whose face burned with shame. "You've got to feel her engine," Jack said softly. "She talks to you. Just got to listen." Within minutes, the bird roared back to life, a deep, perfect growl that shook the walls. Applause broke out, mechanics, pilots, officers, even the colonel, all watching as the old janitor brought the beast back from the dead. Chapter 6 The Flight. "Sir," Jack said, wiping his hands, "she's ready to fly." The colonel hesitated. "Can you still handle her?" Jack smiled faintly. "Only one way to find out." Minutes later, the entire base watched as the Apache lifted off under Jack's control. Smooth. Confident. Like time had never passed. He guided her into the gray sky, rolled once over the hangar, and hovered steady, perfect control. The same old rhythm. When he landed, Colonel Marks was waiting. "Reynolds. I can't have you sweeping floors anymore," the colonel said quietly. "How do you like to come back as a flight instructor?" Jack blinked hard, emotion catching in his throat. For years, he'd been invisible. And now, the army that forgot him was calling his name again. Chapter 7 The Redemption. A month later, the broom still hung in the corner of Hangar 6 untouched, collecting dust. Captain Jack Reynolds stood beside a new class of pilots, including Kyle Bennett, teaching them not just how to fly, but how to listen. "Machines don't fail," he told them. "We do, when we stop caring enough to understand them." Every time he spoke, the room went silent. he wasn't just teaching flight, he was teaching respect, discipline, and heart. Kyle approached him after class one day. "Sir, I owe you an apology." Jack smiled. "No, son. You owe yourself a lesson. Learn it, and you'll be fine." Epilogue: the man they called Ghost Hawk. Months passed. Jack's life found rhythm again, not in the sound of sweeping, but in the hum of rotors. The colonel often said to visitors, "That's Reynolds. The man who taught us that every soldier matters even when we forget their name." And sometimes, when the hangar was quiet, Jack would walk past that old broom, smile faintly, and whisper, "I told you I'd fly again." The wind would pick up, carrying the faint echo of rotor blades like applause from ghosts of the past. Because sometimes, heroes don't need medals. They just need a second chance and someone to remember their name. Moral message: no one is truly forgotten who still carries purpose in their heart. Kindness, humility, and respect can revive even the coldest engines and the most broken souls.